My wife passed away suddenly after giving birth to our daughter 5 years ago. My parents and sisters have spent the last 4 years telling me to move on. I cannot. Do you know how amputees get phantom pain in their missing limbs? It's like that, except it's everything that's missing. I took my daughter to a street performers festival in my city, and my heart ached because I went to buy some kettle corn. I hate kettle corn. My wife loved it. I was buying something I hate for someone who isn't there. My mother did the cruelest thing I can imagine. She told my daughter that she should ask for a new mommy for her birthday. I wasn't polite in dealing with that. I told her that if she or my sisters ever tried to bring a woman into my life, I would leave the city with my daughter, and they'd never see us again. Now all 3 of my sisters and my father have called me to yell at me for threatening my mother and them. They say that they're only trying to help, and that I'm an idiot for not accepting the inevitable. Not the idiot. Excuse me? The inevitable? So you're supposed to get over it and be fine. Grief doesn't work that way. My darling's been dead for 5 years, and it's every bit as awful as it was. What your family's doing is simply awful. I had friends do that, and I blocked every single one. Your grief is your own, and there's no timetable. I'm so sorry you lost your love. Please take care. As for Cruella de Mom, maintain your distance until she reaches out to apologize. The only inevitable thing is to screw around and find out. Continue being an idiot. Try to manipulate a child for your nonsense and get thrown out of your son's life. Telling her to wish for a new mommy for her birthday? That is the grossest, most damaging thing to you and your daughter I've ever heard. OP, your mom and everyone else is extremely wrong, and I think it's time to cut them off. They've tried to involve your daughter in this, which is not okay. Yep, don't threaten, just do it. Eventually, the daughter's going to get to an age where she understands what's going on, and eventually, it's going to turn into them telling her, your dad is selfish for not giving you a mom, and OP needs to be clear of these toxic relatives before the damage is done. That's truly beyond the pale. Cutting grandma off then and there would be understandable, and giving them another chance is incredibly gracious. Holy Batman, it doesn't matter if they mean well or just want you to be happy, because, shocker, it's not up to them. If you ever decide to give another woman a chance in your life, then it's going to be because you want to, and not to please your family, or anyone else for that matter. Take all the time you need, not to find a new wife, but to find your happiness and peace. I wish nothing but the best for you and your daughter. Context. My father had an affair with a younger woman when my sister and I left for college, and she got pregnant. My mom divorced my father due to this, and we've cut the connection with him. He and the woman stayed together for a few years, and then he left her and his daughter and started yet another family with another woman. I don't know all the details, but he sent child support money to the woman he had a daughter with and left. That woman had some issues a few years after that, and last I heard, she's not been taking care of the daughter. That fell on the maternal grandma. Recently, I got calls from a number that I ignored because I don't know anyone from the area code. Then I just picked up randomly, and it's the grandma of the half-sister. She tells me she wants me to take my half-sister temporarily while she goes through chemo. I questioned her as to how long this arrangement will last, and she said a month or 2. She assured me it would only be temporary, but I kept questioning her as to why this girl doesn't just stay with her and maybe even help with cleaning and cooking. She's a young teen by now, so she's mostly self-sufficient. The grandma kept telling me she's already called the kid's older brother, my father, and her other daughter, and no one would help. I told her I'd think about it and hung up. I reluctantly called my father, and he told me the diagnosis for grandma is not great, and chances are whoever gets his daughter will be forced to take care of her indefinitely if the grandma passes. I made it clear it was his kid, so he should be taking the kid, but he said he paid his child support, and he never wanted a kid. It was just an accident. We had a yelling match, and I'm pretty disgusted by him, but he clearly only ever paid child support and wants nothing to do with her. I called the grandma and I told her I couldn't help, and her only real recourse was to sue my dad into helping or getting her daughter to. She cried and told me she didn't have time for that, and my stepsister would probably go to CPS, as the hospital and school already know she's sick, and her granddaughter's basically unsupervised. The girl is dealing with her issues by drinking and running away tonight with her boyfriend, and the grandma's worried she might get pregnant. To be clear, I don't want to help. I don't think I have a direct obligation. My father and her mom made her. They had to step up. But her mom is MIA, and my father made it clear he isn't participating. My wife and mom both made it clear it would be a terrible idea for me to get involved. And we have a kindergartner, so it would also disrupt our lives. But I can't help feeling guilty for not wanting to help. Not the idiot. You feel guilty because you have empathy and compassion. You were raised well. Congrats to your mother and extended family who raised you. But that doesn't mean you, your wife, and your kid need this in your life right now. The girl is already drinking and running around. Your dad needs to step up. The grandmother needs to be putting pressure on your father. It's his daughter. Your father is a disgrace. Are you seriously considering this? You can't expect your wife to take this on when she's unwilling. Your wife would most likely leave and take your kid away. Will this destroy your marriage? This is the most important. Child protection will have to step in. Hopefully, she'll get the help she needs. It's a very sad story, and there are lots of similar sad stories, but you're really not in a position to take her. That poor girl. Just remember, she's an innocent kid whom no one else wants. She's going to destroy herself. So many people talking about helping the homeless and helping the poor, but they don't want to actually personally do anything. Please consider at least getting to know her, calling her occasionally. She's your blood. She didn't do anything to deserve this. Her grandma is the only one who cares about her, and she's dying. Literally, no one else wants her. Even if you don't take her in, you could still be a brother to her. One person who cares. Help her get counseling. I'm male 33, have a daughter teen. I, like many parents, have different nicknames for my daughter, one being Princess. I've called my daughter Princess since she was a baby, and still call her that, even as a teenager. My sister, 35, has an infant daughter. She was over at my apartment yesterday and said she needed to ask me something. She said she would like for me to stop calling my daughter Princess because she and her husband want to call their daughter Princess. I asked why they couldn't both have the nickname. She said it would be awkward if we were somewhere together and both girls got referred to as Princess. I said I will not stop calling my daughter a nickname that I've always called her, unless my daughter wanted me to stop. My sister said my daughter's too old for the nickname Princess anyway, and I have several other nicknames for her, so it shouldn't matter. That I'm just choosing to gatekeep and be an idiot, which I'm not stopping my sister from using it. I'm just refusing to stop calling my daughter that nickname. My mom took my sister's side, agreeing that my daughter is too old for the nickname. Not the idiot, obviously. I'm 29 and my mom still calls me kitten, pumpkin, shrimp, etc. Nicknames have nothing to do with age and everything to do with how people show and receive love. My grandmother called all her grandkids cuddle cookies and a few others I'm sure I've forgotten. Geez, these people sound ridiculous. I have a 42-year-old sister and my mother still calls her Princess. Maybe inform the parents that there are more princesses than one. If your children can remember every Disney princess, they can handle both being called the same nickname. I wonder, will they ask this of every man who calls his daughter Princess? They might want to learn a few new languages. Maybe tell them you'll legally change your daughter's name to Princess. Let's be petty together. The only person who can tell you to stop calling your daughter Princess is your daughter. Everyone else has no say in that discussion, and as your daughter seems to be content with it, you don't have to oblige your sister. It's a nickname that you aren't even gatekeeping because you don't mind your sister using that nickname for your niece as well. Just keep living your life. This is complicated. I, 32 female, was married to my boyfriend for several years. We dated through high school and married in college. We have 3 children together. We divorced about 4 years ago. During this time, he had a few girlfriends, including his most recent one he got pregnant. They split up during the pregnancy due to her toxic ways. A month or so after the breakup was our daughter's birthday, which he attended. We talked a lot and decided to reconcile our marriage. There have been conversations about this from time to time over the past 4 years, but we really decided to make an effort this time. Obviously, his baby mama wasn't very happy about this, and although I've had many confusing emotions about her pregnancy, I supported my husband through it all. Last week, we got a call in the middle of the night saying his ex was being taken to the hospital for an emergency C-section as she was having medical complications. My husband was an emotional mess. We rushed to the hospital. They wouldn't allow him back since we got there too late due to the situation's severity. We waited patiently until allowed back into our room, where I was already getting dirty looks from the relatives there. The baby was brought back first, then her, and she was very doped up. I sat there for a while silently, respectfully, while my husband held his child and tried to make small chit-chat with his ex. Everything went smoothly. We stayed for a few hours before heading back due to the kids and work. The next day we planned to visit again, but my husband's ex called my husband, screaming I had no right to be there and that if she weren't so doped up, she would have had security take me out. My husband tried to explain that I came for support, but she hung up on him. Then I began getting angry texts from her, saying I had no right, and she didn't want to see me at the hospital again. I said I only came to support my partner and didn't want any drama. She said I wanted the drama the minute I stole her baby's father. I told her I didn't steal anyone. I had a life of 10 plus years with him and 3 kids, that I came to make sure she and the baby were okay. She then called me a nosy witch and said if I stepped foot in her hospital room again, she'd have me removed. I came honestly for my partner. I didn't want any drama. It was for support. Am I the idiot? Lady, was there something wrong with the chair in the lobby? What an absurd question. Of course there was something wrong with it. It wasn't near the ex, so you could see him. You are the idiot. How would you have liked it if he brought one of his girlfriends to one of your births? You could have supported him from the waiting room. That is a major privacy violation. She just had a complicated birth, on top of being abandoned by becoming pregnant by her ex. Your boyfriend/ex-husband is an idiot, and you're acting like it's no biggie. I hope she gives all of you heck. Yeah, there's no way on earth you didn't know showing up at the hospital would cause huge drama. You took back a man with a baby on the way that just broke up with a pregnant woman. That's the plot for a juicy soap opera, if you ask me. Also, consider that your ex-husband is the toxic one. It's clear she wanted and expected some level of commitment from your ex, and he left her. Well, that isn't your fault. Showing up to the birth of her child is just kicking her while she's down. Let's not pretend OP isn't toxic as well. They all sound toxic, and this is just going to continue to be a toxic co-parenting situation. He's going to break up with OP and do similar slimeball crap to the next girl. OP, you waited until this woman was vulnerable to try to flex your winning the prize, invading a private moment, and the only information you have about her is what your greasy husband told you. You know he will bounce between the two of you and your future mistress like a tennis ball. I know some people will disagree, but adoption might be the kindest route here for the child. So this has been causing a bit of an issue in my family, and if you are on my side, including Eve, my babysitter/nanny, who's the very person I'm defending, to be fair, she just doesn't want to be the cause of a fight. I recently found out that my sister-in-law for the past year and a half has been dropping her 2 kids off for a few hours each week with Eve, my nanny and babysitter, so that the sister-in-law can either go grocery shopping, take a nap, gym, or go to the salon to get her hair and nails done. Eve is a generous and kind-hearted person who I know would have a difficult time saying no to a pushy person like my sister-in-law. Eve did say that she preferred that my sister-in-law didn't, but she didn't want to cause trouble and didn't want me to do anything. So, over the weekend, I had a chat with my sister-in-law, and I asked her to stop asking Eve to take care of her kids and that she needed to look into daycare or get her own nanny, as Eve will no longer be doing free childcare for her. I even gave her the details of a nanny/babysitter service that could match her with someone. Since then, my in-laws have been on my butt pretty much. They're saying that I should share Eve with my sister-in-law, and when I sarcastically asked if they'd go halves with me and we'd split Eve's $80K salary, then suddenly its sister-in-law could never afford that. I, of course, knew she couldn't pay even half of her wages, so I asked her to pay her $25 an hour every time she dumped her kids on her. This also was met with, she can't afford it. So I told her that if she couldn't afford it, then she'd need to watch her own kids. Apparently that was rude, and I'm using my money to bully them. I don't think I'm the idiot in this, and in fact, I think they're idiots for thinking it's normal to have free childcare. My husband is also making me angry because he thinks I'm being an idiot for saying anything and for even asking them to pay. After discussing this with my colleague, I'm starting to doubt it, as she pointed out that Eve has been put in an awkward position since my sister-in-law texted her asking if she was okay with her having dropped her kids off with her. But the thing is, I know Eve. I know she's just too shy to say no, or she's possibly worried that this could maybe affect her job. Not that it would, and I have reassured Eve that her job is in no way or shape in jeopardy. So, am I being an idiot, and should I let it go? Edit. I pay Eve's salary, and I'm the breadwinner, and work crazy long hours, and so I rely on my husband to fill me in on the day-to-day information. Not the idiot. Poor sister-in-law can pay for her hair and nails and for a gym subscription, but not for childcare? Nah, she's entitled, and if your mother-in-law has such an issue, she should either pay up herself or shut up. If your sister-in-law thought she was doing the right thing, she wouldn't have hidden it from you for a year and a half. It's not your job to pay for childcare for your nieces and nephews. You're well within your rights to be angry, and don't give in. Honestly, I would be upset with Eve too. Being nice doesn't mean allowing yourself to be a doormat. A year and a half? Like, how did this all start? Does sister-in-law have a key? Or did Eve let her in? How did she get Eve's number to ask her to begin with? What else does she allow because she's afraid of confrontation? I actually trust Eve wholeheartedly, and I am in no way upset with her. The issue is my sister-in-law has weaseled her way in by using Eve's limited English against her. She had Eve believing that I had agreed to this, and since Eve is in the process of getting her citizenship, she couldn't easily afford to lose her job. So sister-in-law, in an indirect way, used that to her advantage, and it certainly didn't help that my husband didn't say anything. First off, your husband needs to have your back. Secondly, I would come up with an average number of hours that sister-in-law dropped kids off and tell her that if she doesn't refund you that amount since you paid for childcare, then you're taking your sister-in-law to court and maybe threaten to call CPS for child abandonment. In essence, sister-in-law stole from you and your husband. You paid for Eve's service. She unlawfully used it. She intimidated Eve using false pretenses. Best case, it gets them off your butt. Worst case, it makes them angry and they stop talking to you. And I doubt that's a loss for you. And if your husband wants to join them, show him the door too until he supports your position.